Another video about Matt Powell? I know. Believe me, I was ready to move on too, but this guy doesn't realize the first rule of holes. When you realize you're in one, you stop digging. Here's a quick recap for those who don't know. Powell is the creationist whose goal in life, I assume, is making all the other creationists look smart. And he does this by saying the dumbest possible things. Like, evolution says we evolved from African Americans, and that people who accept evolution should never be concerned about species going extinct because we believe new ones are always popping up, implying that if we lost a species of rhinos, that we'll suddenly have new ones tomorrow, which is not how evolution works. If you think fully formed living creatures will spring from nowhere, you're thinking of the Bible. He's also completely attached himself to this notion that evolution says dinosaurs farted themselves into extinction. Nothing to do with an asteroid, it was all farts. And apparently this is a scientific fact that is taught in public schools everywhere. I'll tell you why he thinks this and what he's saying, but then I'm gonna tell you how he's lying to you. Because he is ignorant, but even he knows the people who watch his videos, non-ironically, are dumber than he is. So he lies to them. Because he's a Christian who does not believe lying is bad if you do it for Jesus. Now, it helps to understand where this idea about dinosaur flatulence is even coming from. Because while it's been around for a while, it got a second wind a decade ago. In 2012, there was a paper published in the legitimate peer-reviewed journal Current Biology called "Could Methane Produced by Sauropod Dinosaurs Have Helped Drive Mesozoic Climate Warmth?" Even if that's just word salad to you, it's a short article that offers evidence for how methane emissions from certain dinosaurs, basically farts and burps, may have contributed greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which the scientists theorized could explain the warmer climate of the time. And I know I'm not an expert here, but okay. I have no reason to deny that. It's not like I know enough about the topic to confirm or refute it. But I do know how to read. And you know what isn't in the article? Anything about extinction! Not only does that word not appear in the piece, at least in regards to dinosaurs, there's no synonym for dinosaur extinction in the article. The article is not about extinction. But after that article was published, sensationalist right-wing media outlets like Fox News and the Daily Mail took that information and ran with it. They said, quote, "Dinosaurs may have farted themselves to extinction," according to a new study from British scientists. But that's what Fox News said, not the scientists. Fox News was just wrong. And because Matt Powell is really effing stupid, he just bought into that and treated it like a scientific fact because he thinks Fox News is reliable. It's not. It's like the Bible that way. No one who knows what they're talking about ever said what Fox News thinks they said. In fact, here's how Smithsonian Magazine reported on the study and the subsequent media frenzy days after the wrong information began appearing on those right-wing websites. Wilkinson and co-authors didn't say a thing about dinosaur extinction in their paper. Not to mention that the idea doesn't make any sense. Titanic sauropods were around for about 130 million years. If their gases were so deadly, why did it take so long for the world to be overwhelmed? The Fox News gloss isn't even a misrepresentation of what the researchers said. The story's headline and lead are outright fabrications. Outright fabrications. Or, as Matt Powell refers to them, ironclad facts. Powell, the Christian liar that he is, not only perpetuated the Fox News lie misrepresenting the article, he went even further and suggested the article exposed the nonsense that is evolution. This is from a video he made back in March of 2021.
That evolution actually teaches that certain of the dinosaurs went extinct because they farted themselves into extinction. Take a moment to really let that sink in, because here's the thing. In schools across America, kids are learning this in colleges, in universities, and they're being taught this theory every single day. And Hitler said,
You know what? Let's just stop there. No good sentence has ever started by quoting Adolf. But let's walk through his chain of lies here. He misunderstood a research paper he clearly never read. He says scientists think dinosaur farting led to dinosaur extinction, which they do not. He thinks this is such a part of evolution that we teach the dinosaurs farted themselves into extinction theory as fact, which, besides being completely inaccurate, wrongly suggests scientific papers are all magically taught to school children, like the very next day after they're published. He is just wrong on every level. Schools barely teach kids about evolution in general, much less modern updates to it or new unconfirmed theories about it. But here's the thing. That video from Powell came out in March. People told him that he got everything wrong. But instead of educating himself, he has since decided to wage an online war against those of us pointing out his mistakes. He recently posted a video attempting to defend his position on farting. And I want to play you a clip where he claims evolution textbooks show how he's right, and how this theory has been around for a while, and is totally a part of how evolution is taught to everyone. I want to play you some of the video partly because he shows clips from some of my videos about him, but I can't. Here's the thing. Powell cleverly inserted the song You've Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story in the background of his video. Maybe you saw in the news recently that there was this cop in Oakland, California who decided to play a Taylor Swift song during a confrontation with activists so that they wouldn't be able to post the video on social media. It's kind of like that. If I played the clip from Matt Powell's video for a little while, there's a chance my entire video could get demonetized or taken down. So you know what? I won't play you the clip. Gotta feed my kids somehow. But I will show you some screenshots from his video, and I asked Eli Bosnick from the Scathing Atheist podcast to do his best imitation of Matt Powell while telling you exactly what Matt Powell said. These are all exact quotes, and I think you will agree, a perfect imitation.
It's true that evolution theory does teach that dinosaurs farted themselves into extinction. There's an entire scientific paper about how certain of the sauropods farted to a point where it warmed the environment, and then they died from global warming. And so I actually have here one of the books that talks about how dinosaurs gassed themselves into extinction, and it's known as the Prehistoric World, the Young Oxford Book of the Prehistoric World. So here on page 115 in the book, it says, and I quote, "The dinosaurs killed themselves off with their own flatulence, wind. The methane they produced caused the Earth's atmospheric temperature to warm up, creating a sort of greenhouse effect. This might have increased global warming to a point where dinosaurs could not stand the heat." I mean, this is literally in a science book. And this is an older science book. I mean, this theory has been around for a long time, that dinosaurs actually farted themselves to death.
I have never wanted to listen to Matt Powell more. Listen, everything Matt just said is a lie or a distortion. We've already talked about the problems with his understanding of the scientific paper, but let's talk about the book he's referring to, the Young Oxford Book of the Prehistoric World. It is a real book, but it's weird that Powell quotes one passage with no context that includes a weird redaction up front. What's he hiding? I wanted to know, so I found the book and the passage in context. Let's check it out, because while it does mention flatulence, it only does so as part of a list of various theories that have been put forth about how dinosaurs went extinct. And it basically does this in order of credibility. Here is what the book actually says about the extinction of dinosaurs. Many theories have been put forward. Some scientists suggest that the Earth's climate changed as temperatures became cooler. Others support the theory that a gigantic asteroid collided with Earth. Such a collision would have caused a huge cloud of dust that would have blotted out the sun, on which all living things depend. Accurate stuff. Now the book gets into the slightly less accepted theories, but theories nonetheless, and keep an eye out for how they talk about farting. Maybe dinosaur eggs were eaten by the up-and-coming mammals. Perhaps the biggest dinosaurs suffered from slipped discs because of their great weight. Other theories lay the blame on a sudden enormous outbreak of volcanic activity, or a sudden massive downpour of acid rain following Earth's collision with the asteroid. A scientist from Indiana has even suggested the startling theory that the dinosaurs killed themselves off with their own flatulence, wind. The methane they produced caused the Earth's atmospheric temperature to warm up, creating a kind of greenhouse effect. This might have increased global warming to a point where dinosaurs could not stand the heat. So we go from asteroid and climate change to here are some slightly weirder ideas to get a load of this kooky scientist from Indiana, whose name we're not even bothering to mention because who cares, because it's just one dude's theory and not one taken seriously by the entire scientific establishment. It's a scientist who even suggested, like he's crazy, this startling theory. The book is begging you not to take it that seriously, but they are including it as a way of showing the various ideas people have come up with to explain a historical event. And what does Matt Powell do? He takes that one scientist's theory, pretends that it's fact, pretends that this is what all scientists think and what all public school children are taught, and pretends this theory is more widely accepted than all the other ones. The very book he is citing does not do that. Not even close. He would know that if he knew how to read. I'm almost amazed that Matt Powell is so bad at understanding this thing that he's dedicated his whole life to talking about. I kind of want to thank him, though. He is so bad at his job that I have to think even some of the people watching him seriously are gonna figure out that there's no substance to anything he says. Science communication is a hard thing to do. Carl Sagan and Neil deGrasse Tyson and YouTubers like Physics Girl and Alex Danis and Veritasium do an incredible job of talking about real science. They help point people in the right direction, taking tough concepts and making them easier to understand. But, you know what also helps lead people in the right direction, in a weird sort of way? The miscommunication of bad science. Powell isn't just ignorant. He is so embarrassingly bad at spreading ignorance that I think there's a chance even some of his loyal viewers will eventually realize he's full of flatulence and start learning about actual science because they can't get on board with someone as mindless as Matt Powell. So, thanks, Matt, I guess.